Oh yeah, the house, the
go
house.
ahead.
Okay, all right. Hang on, let me got it here.
Yeah,
The
sorry.
house that I wanted. I built this. Crazy $8 million house on the beach, and this is just what it looked like. I had 8-foot or 10-foot high glass like that with travertine floors. This is before I ever built it. And what's really funny is I lost that house. You'll hear my story in a minute. I lost that house and all the craziness, and I live in a compound now. And if you see those white walls in those lower pictures, see those white walls in those pictures? This is my backyard now. See the white wall? Is that freaking crazy? Okay, this stuff works, guys. I'm just telling you. Stupid stuff like watches. I've got a.
I accidentally muted Rod. My bad.
Sorry.
No worries. What was the last thing I said?
The watches, the stupid watches.
Yeah, stupid stuff like watches, Lamborghini, stuff that as a kid, I thought was important, Rolls Royce, Bentley, but I got all this stuff. Oh, and I'll show you. Hold on. I'll show you the last one here. Look, see there? Okay. All right. So that's, I don't have the jet yet. I'm not Grant yet, but the point is this stuff works, guys. And so, we'll talk about that a little more depth, but I wanted to share that with Nick because he was talking about his G7. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
Listen, Rod, you got to get some, Warrior and Rod hats because we want Nick. I actually have a.
Cool I promote.
I have a here. Own your power. OYP. Own your power. That's my hat.
Nice. I know. I gotta get a Rod hat. I don't have one yet.
Yeah, we were at the conference. We're like, oh my god, we gotta get one. So
yeah, we used to sell them. It's like, okay, well, big deal, But yeah, I should. I should. You should lose weight. You should become a better parent. You should exercise more. You end up shooting all over yourself, don't you?
Yeah, I want to make sure I don't shit over anybody.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks for that reminder. All right, so we're gonna get started on this call. Thank you everybody for being here, taking your time out on Monday night. For those of you guys that are new on this call, why don't we just put in the chat real quick, like where did you come from on this call? Did you come from Grant Cardone's? Did you go to one of those conferences? Did you go to Rod Khleif's conference? Did you go to Brad Summock's? Where did you come from? Did you come from my social media? Because we put a lot of money towards ads for this as well. So Razul, what's up, brother? Welcome.
What's up, man? Yeah, I heard you got Rod on here. I had to see this in person, so happy to see all this awesome stuff. If you guys don't know, I'm one of Rod's warriors as well. Love his program, absolutely stand by it, and yeah, I want to see what everything's going on in this interview.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man. Hey, so one of the goals that I made in the beginning of the year when we started this mastermind was to have 100 people take a picture of me, Nick.
I'm getting it.
100 people on this call. So it was 9 people when we first started, 6 people. And I think there was a couple of you that were here from the very beginning. And we just, the system was put into place and we started to build this up. And it's all just about providing value for people on this call. There's nothing being sold. Everything is free, and I want to provide value. And I want to provide value for the people that are coming on, taking the time to speak on these calls too. So I first had my accountant, my CPA, come on the call. He got so many phone calls and so many calls from the people from this group that he couldn't make the time for me. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, dude, you got 40 phone calls. You got to take my call. And he's like, okay. So he gave me his after hour time. And so it helped me develop a deeper relationship with my CPA too, because before it was business hours. I could call him. Now I got his real cell phone. Now we're buddies, right? So, we had Shariah on here. We had a couple people in the last couple of weeks that were really, really powerful, and none more powerful than today's. And I'm super honored and excited to have Rod here. But for you guys that are brand new to this, I want to share a little bit of where this came from and what my commitment is to this call. Last year, I lived in Peru and I had already been investing in real estate. So I lived there with no stress. I played music. I learned to play the guitar. I hung out. Every day I wake up, it's beautiful mountains right outside me. And I didn't want to leave. And it didn't matter because I had real estate paying for all of that. When I got home, all of a sudden, all of my real estate appreciated crazy in value, and my income grew, my net worth grew, my everything grew, and I wasn't even working. I wasn't even trying. And so this is I realized that, not that I realized, but I realized in my life, I had gotten to a certain place that I didn't have to work, so what is my passion project? And I remember back when I was struggling and I was $465,000 in debt, living in Florida in like a little utility closet, and I was at the Publix. And I don't want to tell the whole story, but there was a lady, she's 85 years old, working as the cashier, got 2 wrist guards on, and she's asking me to bag her bag for her. And that was the first time that it actually hit me, and that I noticed that there was an 85-year-old lady working there. And for me, in Asian cultures, that doesn't happen. Our parents live with us. Like that doesn't really happen. We really take care of the elders. So somehow that happened, and it really got to me. And then I started seeing the elders everywhere, Walmart, Target, as hostess, I don't know if they're working there because they want something to do, but I made up that they weren't financially free enough to do that. And if I can make an impact in anybody's life, just one person on this call or one person throughout my day, then maybe somebody doesn't get older and go work in Publix. Maybe somebody's mom doesn't go and work in Publix. So that's where this whole thing comes from. And as much as I want to share that with you, I also want Rod to know who I am, and he being on this call is such an honor. And I was just telling the teens, and I was very flustered. I've been sitting here for the last hour, staring at a blank screen, like nervous, shaking a little bit, and it's these are the moments. And for you guys, like I put myself constantly in very, very uncomfortable positions. And these are the moments that you get to rise up to be a bigger version of yourself. And everybody can do that. You just find something that is challenging for you, but is a stepping stone to where you want to go. And Rod's probably going to talk about this, but goal setting. When I went to Rod's event, so the first time I heard about multifamily, it was actually in Rod's virtual boot camp 2 years ago. I did nothing about it afterwards. I didn't get into it. I was like, this is awesome, but I never really actually took the learning process. This year was when I decided that I was going to be super serious. And I always knew that you pay for speed. You always pay for speed. So this year I'm $85,000 in on my learning. And you know what that's equated to? You guys, a lot of you guys have watched my journey from January to right now, 9 months when I first stepped into multifamily. I'm in 6 different deals as a general partner, 3 different deals as a limited partner. I'm at actually soon to be over 1,000 total doors, and a lot of you guys have watched it. It doesn't require you to be sitting on the sideline for a year or 2 years. You need to have the right mentors in place. You need to have the right team, and you got to be willing to step into the financial freedom mindset, which I say is you got to change money for time, not time for money. Okay. So a lot of people teach that, but it doesn't land until you go and do that. And so this year I got real serious, and, everything is a dedication towards my 3 goals, which I wrote down when I decided that I'm going to Rod Khleif's event live this year in Denver. So since July 28th, okay, when I went to Denver, we had an awesome goal setting session where he turned the lights down, the music went on, he's speaking and talking about the goals. And I come from transformational background, so I'm all about that stuff. I'm all about the scene, the background music, all that. And I wrote down my 3 goals. And here's my 3 goals. 1, I'm going to be a general partner in a $300 million deal. Now, I also wrote down why it is that I want to have that. I don't want to have that for the money or for anything. I want to have that because of who I would become. Who do I need to become, and the resources and the people that I will surround myself around just to be able to even have that opportunity. So that's forward growth for me. If I'm in there, I know I've impacted people's lives. I know I've did well for my reputation. I know that I'm doing something right there. Okay, I get to do that. The second thing is that I get to raise $100 million and put money from my investors into assets. And when I do that, that represents me making a tangible impact in people's lives towards financial freedom. Okay. Because I know real estate has gotten me there, and I've seen it. Okay. And this game is, I can see the path so clearly, but what are my stepping stones? Okay. And the third thing is to make 100 general partners. All right. So when I do that, that means I'm also committing to people to lead them into that direction. Okay. And I just want to say real quick that in our new deal, okay, that we got in our new deal that we just got under contract, we have 5 new general partners, pretty much kind of like passive general partners, but they all get a piece of the asset management as well to learn. Right. So some of you guys, a couple of you guys are definitely on this call. So I want to thank you guys for all of your trust. Everybody that has been in our deals, general partners on the deals, thank you for being here. And the last thing is team. Like, you don't do this without team. Real estate is a team game. Marriage is a team game. Life is a team game. And as soon as you start to adapt that mindset, abundance will show up and life will change for you. So I want to say thank you to Nick and Caroline for having my back, like really having my back in every aspect. Mike Bailey and John Sidoti, Danny Haricki, Thomas Varghese, and Jasmine for being my partners and giving me a shot in this game, and really shooting me off in a amazing direction and helping me step into the greatest version of myself. And all of the partners, everyone, you guys know who you are. Everyone, thank you for your trust. And so, you know, today's a big call. I don't want to speak too much. I want to introduce the guests that we have on this call. Mr. Rod Khleif, he's definitely going to, and all of this doesn't happen without right mindset. So I think he's going to talk a little bit about mindset, but Rod was talking a little bit already, but let's pin him, Caroline, to the front. And yeah, Rod Khleif, thank you. He is Rod's got a top ranked iTunes real estate podcast. It's actually a #1 commercial real estate podcast in the world. There's a whole ton of series. If you just start listening to that, it's probably going to really take your game and thinking to the next level. He's also the author of a best-selling book, amazing book, and he runs these seminars, has a great warrior program that I'm also a part of. And he's also touched 120,000 families through his foundations. So Rod, thank you for being here. It is such an honor. Thank you. And if you can just share like your story a little bit so everybody gets to know who you are, who's Mr. Rod Khleif, and whatever you want to share to the audience.
Sure. Well, you know what? I want to circle back. Thank you for having me. And I really enjoyed hearing a little bit more about you, Alex. You know, I want to circle back to a couple of things you said, because, you know, it's funny. I was listening to Robert Kiyosaki, and actually forget that for a minute. You were saying that you saw this old woman in a grocery store, and then you started seeing them everywhere. And you know what that is? That's your reticular activating system. And what that is, guys, if you're not familiar with that, it's really a filter so you don't go crazy. Honestly, it's your brain's subconscious filter pointing you in the direction it thinks you're interested in. And so you were moved by that elderly woman, and so you started seeing them everywhere. Same time when you first buy a car, you never really notice them, and then you buy one, you see them everywhere. And it's the same thing with your goals, which is why I have my vision boards back here behind my green screen. I've got pictures in my book of almost everything that I've gotten up to this point in my life, because that triggers your reticular activating system. There's pictures on the walls around me here. So I just wanted to circle back to that. You said something else too, Alex, that I want to flag. You said that you make yourself get uncomfortable. And I'm going to give you guys a Tony Robbins quote, and that is: the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of discomfort you can live with. If you look back on any amazing thing you've ever done in your life, I promise you got uncomfortable. Okay. And so remember that the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of discomfort you can live with. And so get uncomfortable. You know, that comfort zone's a nice warm place, and nothing freaking grows there, right? Okay, so you got to get uncomfortable. So anyway, let me tell you a little bit about me if you haven't suffered through that before. So I'm an immigrant. I was born in the Netherlands, wooden shoes and windmills, and immigrated when I was 6 with my brother Albert, my mother's Vansha. We ended up in Denver, Colorado, and we didn't have much. In fact, I remember eating expired food. They had a store that sold expired food, drinking powdered milk with our cereal in the morning because it was cheaper than real milk. And trust me, it sounds better than it is. Wearing clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school till I finally lied about my age at Burger King because I was tall when I was 14 and got a job flipping burgers so I could buy my own clothes finally instead of Goodwill clothes. And, some of you on this call maybe had it harder than I did, or maybe even are struggling a little now. And I will tell you guys, we are headed for some pain, okay, in this country. I'm just going to tell you right now. Anybody tells you otherwise is naive, okay? I did a YouTube video. It aired today really about how to prepare for what's coming. It's called How to Prepare for the Crash, because it is coming. And, I just, one of the headlines in there was there are 20 million families right now behind on their utility bills. Okay. 20 million families. Okay. There's one staggering statistic. All the big tech companies are laying off, and that's a bellwether for what's happening in this economy. So anyway, I shouldn't look at the comments. That derailed me. People talking about goodwill. All right. Anyway, so I wanted to mention that. But if you talk about being in the right place, the biggest money is made in a down economy. Okay. The strongest companies are built in a down economy. But what I'm going to talk about today is really going to help you. We could talk ad nauseum about technical real estate stuff. I'll tell you guys how, if you want to come to my boot camp this weekend, it's a virtual boot camp. I can tell you how to come for $97. Let me give you the recordings for that. And I don't sell anything there. So it's kind of a no-brainer if you really want to, further your knowledge about this business. But I don't want to talk about that today. I want to talk about mindset, because I'm going to tell you what's going to get you through to flourish in what's coming is your mindset. Okay. You wouldn't be here unless you're a leader. Even the teens. Okay. The teens that are here are going to be leaders. Okay. And as a leader, your focus is critically important, especially when things are scary. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's going to get really scary after the midterms. I think there's going to be a shift politically, and there's a big, political influence on the media. And I think you're going to start seeing some really scary headlines coming. Okay. So I just want to flag that. But anyway, back to my story. So I immigrated. We really struggled. But see, I knew I wanted more. And luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And we always had a house full of kids. And with her babysitting money, she was quite an entrepreneur. So she actually invested in the stock market successfully in IPOs, but she also invested in real estate. And she bought the first real estate investment was the house directly across the street from us. We bought from a family named the Jewels, and she paid about 30 grand. I was 14. Then when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep that had gone up in value 20,000. And I'm like, what? You made 20,000? You didn't do anything? Screw college. I'm getting into real estate. Now, those of you teens on the show, forget I just said that. Okay. But I actually wish I had gone to college just for the, for the social aspect and growing up. So forget I said that. But the point is, I knew I wanted to get into real estate. So I went out and actually got my real estate broker's license right when I turned 18. I was a broker. I could have my own office. Now, they got smart. You need some education before you can be a broker, but I was a broker. And, and I still lived at home. My first year in real estate, I made about 8 grand. Okay. My second year, I made about 10 grand, but my third year, I made over $100,000. So what caused me to 10X my income between year 2 and year 3? Well, what caused me to do that was I met a guy. And it's funny. Last week, I just found out he died. So anyway, I derailed for a second there. But he taught me he was the first person to teach me about mindset and how 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and your psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the real estate stuff. Okay. You have to actually take action with what you learn. Okay. And, and a lot of people don't, out of fear or limiting beliefs or whatever, they don't take action. And so, fast forward to today. I've owned 2,000 houses that I've rented long-term. I own thousands of apartment units. I've built 27 businesses in my career. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept, okay, in 1 year. And you might say, wow. And I said, wow. And I got a head so big I could barely fit it through a door. I thought I was a real estate god. If you want to do the math on that, it's like $8,300 an hour for the year. Anyway, but and of course I did. If you held still long enough, you heard about it. Well, you know, when that happens, God or the universe or whatever you believe will give you a nice little smack. Well, that was 2008 and 9. I lost $50 million in 2008 and 9. I lost everything. And so what I'm known for talking about, if you don't listen to my podcast, is really the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place. And then as importantly, maybe even more importantly, is the mindset it took to recover from losing $50 million. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. Like Alex said, you know, if you happen to come to my virtual boot camp, it's this weekend. I mean, the timing couldn't be better. I know it's short notice, but why don't you put this, write this down, rodslinks.com, or somebody put it in the chat, rodslinks.com. If you go there, I still have my special there where you can come for $97. Again, I don't sell anything there. It's 2 full days of training. It is drinking through a freaking fire hose. I can tell you the manual is about this thick. I'm not teasing stuff. I mean, it's deep dive. And I don't sell anything. So you can come for $97 and I don't sell anything. And I'll even include the recordings because I know it's short notice. You get the recordings and you get some deal evaluator software. You get a spreadsheet, you get my document library. I mean, it's a screaming deal. Anyway, if you have any interest in learning more about this business, you should be there. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is the first hour and 15 minutes is doing goals. Because how the hell do you get excuse me, sorry, there's kids on it. How do you get anything if you don't know what it is? You got to know what it is you want, right? You got to know what you want with clarity, and you have to know why you want it, okay? And I have to tell you, this is super important. Even if you're not interested in coming to my boot camp, on the bottom of Rod's links is my goal setting workshop. I do it every year on New Year's Day, and I did it New Year's, and it's professionally done. There's a guide you can download. So, you know, here's the sad thing, guys. People spend more time planning a freaking birthday party than they do designing their lives. That's designing your life. So sit down, do it with your spouse, do it with your teenagers that are on this call here. Do it with your kids. If they're over 10 years old, by God, have them do it, because you know, that's designing your life, and that's triggering your reticular activating system to go out and make things happen for yourself. So again, that's the first hour and 15 minutes of my boot camp this weekend. And why is this important? Because you have to create a burning desire. You have to really want it, because everybody has fear, and we all have limiting beliefs and, you know, and things that hold us back. And that's how you push through, is by doing your goals and creating that hunger and that burning desire. Napoleon Hill talks about this in his book, Think and Grow Rich. But let's talk about limiting beliefs for a second. So what am I talking about there? Well, when I immigrated, you know, I didn't speak English and I got thrown into school. And my mom thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in the wooden shoes and those leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest. And so I found out what bullies were for the first time. I got my butt kicked on a regular basis. And then, you know, the bullies would chase me home, and she would chase them off with a fly swatter. So the next day, butt kicking. And, you know, that and some other stuff, you know, I had this crush on this little girl in elementary school, and she embarrassed me on the playground because she knew I had a crush on her. So she embarrassed me in front of some other kids, and it's stupid stuff. But it caused me to believe that I wasn't good enough. I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? That's an example of a limiting belief. Now, here's the thing to remember, is that the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99% of them are BS. But they're things like, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm not smart enough, I'm not analytical enough, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money. And again, remember that acronym, because they really are BS. But you have to have this burning desire. That's why the goal setting is so important, to push through that stuff. Yeah. And so, yeah, later, Jose, yeah, my mom, you know, she was a proud Dutch woman, thought it'd be great to do that. Boy, oh, man. But see, but again, you've got to want it, because you have to, that's how you push through that stuff. And I'm going to tell you, average ability with a burning desire means success. I'm just going to tell you, you know, so you also have to find what you love and find your mission and purpose in life. You've got to want it as bad as you breathe, honestly. Okay, you got to decide you're not going to be average. And so, you know, the goal setting is super important. So what comes after that? What comes after that is you have to make a decision. And I'm not talking about dipping your toe in the water. I'm not talking about 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I mean, it is freaking done. Okay. You like an example of a real decision. If you're going to attack the island in battle, you burn your ships because you're taking their darn ships home. That's a decision. It's done. Because once you make a decision and you have total 100% commitment, you're like on a train on a track. Now, if you don't do that, you're going to get derailed off track. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, when you are committed, you made that decision, you're committed, you're going to take massive action. And you see, motivation will get you started, but see, it's that commitment that'll bring you home. And so, and I'm talking about 100% responsibility too for your life. It's not your dog's problem, your kids, your spouse's issue. It's you have to own it. Okay. And 100% responsibility for every single aspect of your life. So that's a decision, and you have to make one. And I will tell you, sometimes it can be the biggest, most important decision of your life. And Tony, I'll give you another Tony Robbins quote. By the way, I spent 20 years following Tony around the planet, so I quote a lot of his quotes just because if you hear them 100 times, you can't lose them. But another one of his is that it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. Okay. And that's just an incredible quote of his. So, all right. So after you make that decision, then you've got to take that first step. Okay. And I will tell you, I'll give you an example in multifamily here. It's the law of the first deal. Okay. I see it with my students. By the way, I see a bunch of warriors on there here. Amy, Dave, Adam, Faye, John, Sanjay, Chris, Taufik. I mean, thank you for coming on here and suffering through an hour of me, guys. But anyway, it's great to see you all. But I will tell you, I remember, and I see it with my warriors all the time. It's 6 months and they haven't got a deal, sometimes even 8 months. And they're like, oh, come on, I'm trying to make this happen. And then they get one. Next thing I know, they have 5. Because that first deal is always the hardest. It's the scariest. It takes the longest and the most stressful. But then it's like, oh, is that all there is? Boom, I'm off to the races. And so, I remember, when I actually in between year 2 and year 3, when I made 8 to 10 grand, I made 100 grand. I started knocking on doors of people that were in foreclosure. And I can tell you that first door scared the you-know-what out of me. Okay, these people are losing their house, and I pushed through that. And that was an example of a first step that I took. Dr. Martin Luther King said, you don't have to see the whole staircase. You just take that first step in faith and the next step will be revealed. Lao Tzu, thousands of years ago, said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but you've got to take that step. Now, some of you on this call might be analytical, and I know, and you know who you are, and you have to check off every single box before you make a move. You know who you are. I'm going to tell you, here's what I need you to remember. And that is, you can drive all the way across the United States at night with your headlights only seeing 50 feet in front of you. And you'll make it. You may have some obstacles, but other people have done it before you. And it's the same way with your goals. It's the same way with this business, but you got to take that first step, right? Super important. And guys, this life is not a dress rehearsal. We don't want any regrets. Okay. I can't think of anything worse than regret. I'll give you an example of regret. There was a nurse in Australia named Bronnie Ware, and she was a hospice nurse. Okay. So she took care of patients when they were about to pass. And she asked him a question. And the question was, do you have any regrets? And she wrote a book about it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. Now, you know what the number one regret was? Was not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. Guys, if you're afraid of failing, I'm going to tell you, fear regret much worse. I call my failures seminars, and I've had big ones. That was a $50 million seminar. I told you I built 27 businesses, several worth tens of millions of dollars, most spectacular flaming seminars, right? Guys, we fail our way to success. Don't ever fear failure. Fear regret. Okay. Like I just said, in fact, I got to meet the billionaire owner of Spanx, Sarah Blakely, at a mastermind I was in. The women know what that is. That holds all the stuff together. She started with $5,000 and she just brought in some venture capital. She's worth over $1 billion. She was in Forbes a few months ago, but she told me that her dad used to ask her and her brother once a week, what have you failed at this week? What an awesome freaking question to ask your kids so they don't fear failure. I wish I'd have known that when my kids were more impressionable. But anyway, so the next thing I want to talk about as it relates to all of this, and especially in what's coming, guys, because I'm going to tell you, if you follow and here's the thing, as a leader, especially through what's happening, it is critical that you pay attention to your focus. We're going to talk about focus because as a leader, you've got to direct your focus. And the news, I mean, don't get me started on the crap they put on the news. And it's mostly that. It's mostly crap. And so, it's really important that you focus on what you want, not what you don't want. That's why the goals are so important, because whatever you focus on is going to get bigger. both positive or negative. So if you're in there sucked into the politics or the news, you know, I will confess I did. I got sucked into it. My freaking blood pressure went up 20 points. I had to just shut that stuff off. And so, you know, it's so critical that you stand guard at the door to your mind and you bring in the good stuff. Okay. And, you know, because wherever your focus goes, energy flows. Okay. Now, I will tell you, the most successful people on the planet have the best focus. Okay. And so, you know, I'll give you examples of this. You know, I get people to call me and say, you know, how do I get out of student loan debt? And I'm like, wrong freaking question. How do you make so much money that the debt's irrelevant? Okay, that's the right question. They asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. I mean, you get what I'm saying here. So focus is so absolutely important. Now, like I said, the most successful people on the planet have the highest degree of focus. And so, you know, I'll give you some examples of this. I remember when I had a whole bunch of different businesses at the same time. I had frozen yogurt shops, 2 of them in Denver. I had vending carts selling ice cream bars. I had a carpet cleaning company. I was doing real estate, and everything suffered because I wasn't focused. And so what I did was I got rid of everything and I just focused on buying houses, and I bought 500 houses in that next run. Okay. Another thing is I minimized decisions, because decisions, you know, they tire you out, and you only have so much mental bandwidth, you know, a day. And so you will almost always see me in these bone ugly black V-neck t-shirts, because that's what I don't want to think about what I'm wearing. Okay. The only time you won't is when my wife says, no, you're going to put a regular shirt on, but that's the only time. Otherwise I'm in my black V-necks. But let's talk about decisions. Okay. You know, I don't know about you. I'm just looking for my cell phone because so I can use it as an example. I don't know what I did with it, but anyway, I don't know about you, but I'll be watching Netflix and I'll be scrolling through social media. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you probably do that too. Now, here's the problem. Your brain is making micro decisions every split second, and it kills your focus. Okay. And, you know, I get excited about my 14 million downloads on my podcast. Okay. We broke 14 million. Very proud of that. But the reason I bring that up is I listen to 2 podcasts. One of them is Joe Rogan, and the other one is Tim Ferriss. Now, Tim Ferriss, if you don't listen to him, he gets about 14 million a week. That's why I brought up the podcast numbers. And what he does is he interviews the best of the best in the world, the best athletes. I mean, he's had Michael Phelps, NBA players, NFL players, best actors, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Foxx, Ed Norton, Hugh Jackman, Ray Dalio, billionaires of the biggest companies on the planet, had Zuckerberg on there. And I started to hear a pattern. They almost all meditate. What does meditation enhance? Focus, right? So focus is super, super important, guys. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is positive expectation. You have to have positive expectation. If you expect to win or you expect to lose, you're going to be right. Okay. You're going to get what you expect, right? So, you know, it's so easy for us to focus on pain and struggle. We actually connect that way. You know, if you came up to me and said, Rod, how you doing? And I said, oh my God, I am freaking fantastic. Life is amazing. Oh, you know, you'd take a few steps back and say, okay, Rod's off his freaking medication. But if you came up to me and said, Rod, how you doing? And I said, oh, dude, my back is killing me. I lost 20 grand in the market. I hurt myself. You'll put your arm around me and say, oh, I feel you. And you'll pull me in and comfort me. We connect through pain, guys. You got to really be careful about that one. Okay. And so, you know, most people focus on what they don't want instead of what they do want. And so, you know, you've got to decide what you want. You've got to declare it to God or the universe, whatever you believe in. God or the universe will conspire to make it happen, my friends. You expect amazing things, you're going to get amazing things. You think and dream big, that's what's going to happen. Okay. And also remember this, you know, maybe you've had some bad experiences in your life, and you choose the meaning you place on what's happened to you. And life is about meaning. And I will tell you, I lost 50 million freaking dollars. Okay. It was no fun. But the meaning I place on it is I never would have met my wife, Tiffany, supermodel, beautiful, more beautiful on the inside than the outside. And I will frankly give it all up again for her. Okay. So that's the meaning I placed on that horrible thing that happened to me. So, you know, just keep that in mind. You decide what meaning you're going to place on something. Now, I want to share something else with you. One of the other things we'll do at my boot camp, if you come, is you will create an identity statement, okay? There is no greater force in the human psychology than the need to remain consistent with how we identify ourselves. If someone says they're a great father, or mother, they will fight if somebody says they're not, okay? Anything you put the words I am in front of is an identity statement, okay? And I will show you something here on my wall. Examples of this. I don't know if you guys can see those. It says and there's a Grant Cardonism, comfort kills. I am success. I am the best in the world at what I do. I'm a business genius. Okay. That's not ego. Those are what I'm aspiring to be. I've got my workout room. I am health and energy. I am focus. I am determination. So if there's an area of your life that you feel you need to boost, create an I am statement for it and shout it out. I'm in my exercise room screaming this. I am courage. I am determination. Top of my lungs. I know that sounds goofy and I lost a few of you, but I'm telling you, this is how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back. Okay. So ignore it, but this is how I did it. In fact, my kids, they helped me at my boot camps. My daughter had an illness, but she's back now, thank God. But they help me, and that's the question they get most often. Did he really do that crap? Did he yell that stuff? Yes, they did. And I used to do it running down the street. I will tell you, the more that you can become free from the opinion of others, the more happy you'll be as well. So let me throw that out there. But those I am statements are super powerful. And if you come to the boot camp, I will help you create an identity statement, one that's going to pull you into it, a future pacing identity statement. Because I'm going to tell you, I spend time on mindset there too, a lot of time. Okay. Because it's 80 to 90% of it. You think it's the real estate stuff and the underwriting and the analytics and all that. Yeah, that's important. But if you don't take action, it's nothing. There's a reason that most college professors don't have a lot of money. There's a reason. It's not knowledge, guys. It's action. Okay. And my catchphrase is massive freaking action. So anyway. All right, we talked about fear and limiting beliefs. The next thing I want to talk about, especially in this multifamily game, is to play to your strengths, okay? There are lots of different hats you can wear in this business, okay? There are lots of ways you can make money in this business. You can be the one that finds the deals. You can be the one that builds relationships with brokers. You can be the one that raises money from investors. You could be the analytical one that loves spreadsheets and does the analysis. You can be the process-driven one that has maybe some construction, some management, some project management experience to do the asset management. So there's a lot of different hats you can wear, but here's the key. You got to play to your strengths, okay? Don't focus on building your weaknesses. Hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses, okay? Focus on your strengths. Your strengths are your absolute greatest assets, okay? Don't, love what you do. When you love what you do, you never work another day in your life. I mean, here I am. My beautiful wife is in the bedroom, watching TV, and I'd much rather, forgive me, I'm not going to say that I'm enjoying with being you guys, but I love my freaking wife, okay? And I love being with her, and I got a surprise to give her. My love languages gifts, and I'm going to give it to her when we're done here. So, I went to the store while she was out of the country for a couple of weeks, and I bought her a bunch of surprises, and she never expects anything, but that's how I show her love. I show it through love. It's my love. By the way, if you haven't read the book, The 5 Love Languages, for God's sakes, get the book so you can give love to the people that you care about, the way they feel it. Super important. Okay. And so I got to have the author on my podcast. That was a real treat because I've given away thousands of copies of his book. In fact, let me tell you something while I'm going to bounce around a little bit. Let me tell you some books that I enjoy, because my warriors get books from me regularly. And so let me give you some of them because these are real good. The first one is Turning Pro by Stephen Pressman, about stop being an amateur and be a professional. Everybody starts as an amateur, so turning pro. Another one is The Slight Edge, about those decisions you make every day that traject your life up or down. And you know what they are. That they may not mean much that day, but over time, they're gonna bring your life up or down. Another one is The Miracle Morning. I got to have Hal Elrod on the show. That was a real treat. About the things you do every morning to set your day off right. Another one is Gary Keller's One Thing. I had Jay Papasan as co-author on the show. So there's some books. I wanted to give you some books while I'm thinking about it. So back to playing to your strengths, okay? You hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses. And I will tell you something. Some of the most successful partnerships I see in this business are an analytical person with an outgoing person. It's a match made in heaven in multifamily real estate because you need both pieces, okay? And so how do you find your strengths? Well, you can do a Myers-Briggs profile. You can do, Tony Robbins has what's called a DISC profile. If you Google DISC profile and Anthony Robbins, it's free. Okay. And you can download it. It's incredibly accurate. Okay. DISC profile, Anthony Robbins, or just ask your friends. What are my strengths and weaknesses? They'll start with weaknesses. Trust me. They'll hammer you there first, but they'll tell you. So here's the thing, guys, don't live somebody else's life. So why is playing to your strengths so important? Because if you're playing to your strengths, you love what you do. You're passionate about it. And if you're passionate about it, you'll have the ability to influence other people. Now, this business is a business of influence. Okay. You're going to have to influence people to work with you, to sell to you, to invest with you, and so on and so forth. And if you love what you do, you'll be passionate. They'll feel that. Okay. If you're doing what you don't love, you're not going to be passionate. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be next to impossible to influence. And so super, super important. And so that passion, is when you're doing what you love, you never work another day in your life. You're loving life. And that passion really is the fuel, and passion breeds creativity, breeds innovation, eliminates or definitely minimizes fear. So play in what you love. Don't try to do what you don't love. Seriously, because there's plenty of hats you can wear in this business. Play to your strengths, and you'll be loving life. All right. Alex talked about team. I want to talk a little bit about team. Super important. Okay. Who you hang out with is who you become. You show me your 3 best friends, I'll show you who you are. Every aspect of your life, your health, your happiness, and your finances, period. It's a given. Okay. Here's the problem. Most people don't proactively choose who they hang out with. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is an incredible group. So you're in a great place right here. And you need to be sure that you proactively choose your peers. And most people default to people they work with or went to school with. And I'm going to tell you, there are people there, that out of their fear of losing you, or fear of feeling, left behind, or fear of feeling embarrassed, or their own limiting beliefs, will hold you back. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes it's family. So here's what I'm going to say to you. Love your family, but choose your peers. When I was losing $50 million in 2008 and 9, I was in Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership. And back then it was like 130 grand all in. And there were people in there that were thriving in that crash. And they're like, get up, you puss, 50 million, schmillion, get up and go make something happen. That's who you want to be around, right, guys? Am I telling you, right? Not people that are going to be scared. Oh, no, you don't want to do that. That's scary. No, you want to be around people that are going to lift you up. Me, I want to be around people that think what I think is hard is easy. See, I started a mastermind a few years ago. I called 16 people in the business. I'd come to my house, come to my compound here. There was about $1 billion in assets represented. And I said, let's mastermind for a couple of days. I paid for everything, and it was incredible. And so I formalized it. Now there's about 16 billion in assets in there. We're meeting in Sarasota in November here. And because I want to be around people that think what I think is hard is easy, right? I wanted to grow and learn. I was selfish. I started it for myself, and now, it's turned into this big thing. And so, you choose carefully who you allow to influence you, guys. Okay. Very, very important. If you want to learn how to play tennis, do you want to play somebody that's better than you or worse than you? Right? You know the answer. So a rising tide lifts all ships. You better stop yawning, Daniel. You're screwing me up, brother. All right. Now let's talk about success habits. That means you're dehydrated, by the way. Get some water, drink some water. There's no way you're yawning when I'm freaking talking, for God's sakes, man. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but you're probably dehydrated. Seriously, just sip some water. I drank this whole bottle before we got started. I tell people that at my boot camps too. All right, so let's talk about habits for success. Okay. Now you guys know. I mean, this is gonna be a big common sense component to this. Okay. There are habits that empower you, and there are habits that disempower you. Right. I mean, it's very easy if you think about health to come up with some things. Now I'm going to tell you, your continual and daily habits will make you or they will break you. Okay. So in some cases, you need to change your habits to change your life. Okay. Now there are success habits like focusing on and having clarity with your goals, not focusing on busy work. You're focusing on results. Like I'll get a warrior sometimes say, what do you think of this logo? And I'm saying, how many properties have you looked at today? yeah, I don't care about your logo or your LLC or any of that crap yet. Go find some properties or go talk to some brokers or go underwrite some deals. That's what you need to be doing right now. Don't get caught up in the busy stuff, like moving the stuff on your desk from over here to over there. Okay. Don't do that. Okay. Focus, so that's an example, taking massive freaking action on a consistent basis is a good habit. Being relationship and team driven is a success habit. Staying healthy, guys, most of you, I'm sure, have a core job or business or something. So you're going to do this as a side hustle. And many of you have kids and a spouse. That takes incredible energy. You've got to focus on your health for massive energy so that you're able to, grind for a few years like most people won't, to live the rest of your life like most people can't. Okay. But you got to have that health and energy. Even the health isn't as important as the health is important to have the energy, but it's really about energy. Okay. Life is energy. Okay. So, don't discount how important that is. It's critically important because you're going to have to work nights and weekends. And like I say, do whatever it takes to make this happen for yourselves. And if you're willing to do that, success is inevitable, my friends. I'm just going to tell you, it's going to happen if you apply yourself and just do it. Okay. So that's success habits. Next thing I want to talk about is tenacity. Okay. Not giving up. I will tell you, there's a book called 3 Feet from the Gold about a gold miner that gave up and somebody else took over his mine and he was 3 feet from a big gold mine. Okay. I remember when I lost everything in 2008 and 2009, I built this litigation support company to help families that were losing their homes. We helped thousands of families save their homes. I built law firms in 5 states. But in 2010, it almost went bankrupt. Okay. And I innovated and I pivoted. And by the way, guys, this is a really important point. Some of you may have to innovate or pivot in what's coming. Okay. Like I remember when COVID hit, I was supposed to have 800 people in Orlando and we'd sold half the tickets already. And I'm like, holy crap, what are we going to do? And so I innovated. If you go to multifamilyvirtualbootcamp.com, you'll see Rod on his freaking cell phone. I think the video is still there from my phone, recording a video saying, hey, we're going to go virtual. Okay. And I innovated like that. Okay. And so I'm going to tell you that maybe you need to innovate or pivot. And that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So, and I'm going to tell you, as a multifamily investor, the hard thing up to this point was finding deals. I'm going to tell you, moving forward, the hard thing is going to be finding money. And so, I'm like right now, I'm preparing to do a course on raising money. I'm, looking at lead sources for accredited investors. I'm doing all sorts of things. I'm pivoting myself right now. So what I'm talking about here. Okay. But you've got to have persistence, grit, determination. Okay. And remember that. And tenacity is the key here. I'm going to tell you, normal talent with extraordinary tenacity success is inevitable. You decide, you take action, and you never give up. It's courage, it's resolve, it's strength of character, strength of will. It's bravery, backbone, fortitude, toughness. You just don't give up, period. Okay, that's it. I've got a thing on my thing here. Show you something. This is a Winston Churchillism. Never, ever, ever, ever give up. This was in World War II. Okay. The other one from another quote that I have on here is, what would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? So think about that. What would you attempt if you knew you couldn't fail? Failure is not going to happen. And I'm going to tell you, anything you give your total focus and energy to is going to flourish. And if it's not, you'll innovate and pivot and do something else. Like I said, there's nothing you can't do, be, or have, my friends. You just have to make a decision and you have to plan it and you have to take massive freaking action. That's how it works. So again, tenacity. We talked about failure, guys. Problems and setbacks are a gift. If you don't have any setbacks or problems, respectfully, you're not freaking trying, and you know it. Okay. So, problems give you feedback. If you come to my boot camp this weekend, on Monday, you will get a survey that says, hey, well, how'd Rod do? And 99.9% of the responses are fantastic. But I'm looking for that little bit of critical feedback because that's the only way I can grow, and by the way, I've never really had a complaint. Thousands of people have attended. Well, that's a lie. The complaint is the breaks are too short because I do 15-minute breaks like every 3 hours. And trust me, they're harder on me because I have to go eat and pee and everything else in that 15 TMI, I know. But in that 15 minutes, I have to do that. Okay. So So, but that's the only complaint I ever get. But that's what I'm, how can I make it better? That's one of my catchphrases. What can I do to make it better? I'm always working to make the warrior group better. That's why I just finished it. I did a courage and confidence course. I'm going to be doing this. I just did a brand, crushing it in social media course for my warriors. That's finished. It's about to go live. And I'm going to be doing this raising money course. And so I'm always looking to try to make it better. Guys, if you aren't at improving or growing, you're dying. Okay. If you're flatlined, you're dying. Okay. So super important. The Henry Ford said an airplane takes off against the wind, and you got to push through stuff, guys. The only people that don't have problems are dead. Okay. These setbacks and these shakeups, frankly, are wake ups. And, and again, if you don't have any problems, you're just not trying, respectfully. Okay. Problems are learning opportunities, and that feedback, I'm always looking for that feedback to have those learning opportunities. Okay. So now I'm going to soften it up a little bit for a minute. And I'm happy to take questions. We can talk about the economy and stuff, but I got two more things, important things I want to talk about. The first one is gratitude. Okay. Gratitude is the most important emotion we have available to us, guys. We cannot be fearful and grateful at the same time. By the way, the achiever's word for fear is stress. Okay. So you can't be stressed and fearful at the same time. You can't be angry. I'm sorry. You can't be stressed and grateful at the same time. Sorry. You can't be angry and grateful at the same time. Gratitude makes us stronger when we face adversity, makes our heart stronger, makes our blood pressure, lowers it, brings us closer to our spirituality. Gratitude also attracts anything you want into your life. Like when I'm looking at these pictures or looking at my vision boards, I'm saying, thank you, God, thank you, as if I already have these things. Okay. So I'll give you my morning routine. I'll sit in this recliner behind me here. Okay. And you can see my vision board on the floor. You kind of see the corner of one of the pictures. I'm sitting there and I just do gratitude for my amazing, beautiful wife, my kids, my coaching students, my warriors, my foundation. And I just do gratitude, and just for a couple minutes, or sometimes do it laying in bed. But then I'll do gratitude for the things that I want if I already have them. And sometimes I get emotional being grateful for things I don't even have yet. Okay. And you're like, oh crap. Foo-foo is often foo-foo land. Well, guys, this is how I had the 50 million and how I got it back. Okay. So discount it at your peril is all I will tell you, because it freaking works. And gratitude is so important. I don't have time. I do a gratitude exercise at my live event, the one in person. I don't have time at the virtual boot camp, unfortunately, because super powerful. I should just go to 3 days on that damn thing and do it. But anyway, gratitude. So use gratitude, guys. Make sure you bring it into your life and do it regularly. Sometimes I'll just go outside and walk around my compound and just look at the birds and the trees. Tiffy and I'll go sit on the back porch, looking out over the water, and I used to make fun of bird watchers. Now I'm a freaking bird watcher. I'm out there watching the woodpeckers and stuff. But anyway, the last thing I want to tell you is I want to tell you a story. So I have had goals my entire life. And one of the goals that I had when I lived in Denver was I knew I wanted to live on the beach. And there's no beach in Denver, but I would visualize the palm trees and the surf and the sand and the waves. And 20 years later, I built this incredible $8 million 10,000 square foot mansion on the beach. I owned the beach on one side and I had my boats on the backside. It was called a Gulf to Bay. It was a slice to an island, had both sides, the whole slice to the island. And I mean, this house is spectacular. I had, it was a giant waterfall from the second floor balcony into the pool. You had to walk through the pool to get in to walk through the waterfall to get into the pool. And and the pool was in magazines. It was spectacular. It had a wine cellar, had an elevator, had a big giant spiral staircase up through the middle of it, to land the plane. On the second floor, I had aquariums built that curved around this spiral staircase that cost me almost 200 grand. So this gives you an idea of the house. Well, and this ties into goals as well, guys. Don't limit yourself when you're doing your goals. And if you do it with me at on my goal setting workshop, or you come to my boot camp, I will say all this stuff again, but don't limit yourself, because there truly is nothing you can't do, be, or have. I mean, I look at Elon Musk. He's got $3 billion, multi-billion dollar startups. Okay. There's nothing you can't do. You just have to go after it. That's it. Bottom line. And so I built this house, and it took me 20 years to make that happen. Okay. So I worked for this for 20 freaking years. Okay. 2 months after I moved in. Okay. 20 years, 2 months. I'm floating in the pool at night. 2 months after I moved in, my family's inside sleeping. And, I had all the toys. I had the Maserati and the two Mercedes and the boats and the jet skis. I had all the stuff, and I'm looking up at this. I'm floating in the pool at night. It's changing colors. It's got fiber optic lighting. I mean, this pool is spectacular. And I'm looking up at this testament to my ego, which is really what it was. It was to prove the world I was good enough that I mattered, you know, and I got depressed. And I don't mean a little depressed. I mean, I got really depressed. And I'm like, what the hell? I've just achieved success like times 1,000. I had all the stuff and the, you know, a beautiful family in the house and all the things I thought were important. And when I look back on it, there were several things happening. I just want to share this with you because it's super important. The first thing is you should never achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it, right? Like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You need a vision for the future. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. So that was one big piece. The second thing is it's never about the goals. You got to have them to create that burning desire to actually go take action on your dreams. But, you know, they say the happiest days of a boat owner's life are the day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat, right? It's never about the goals. Like I said, I worked for that thing for 20 years. Within 2 months of it, I was depressed. But happiness comes from progress and growth, okay? And so if you do my goal setting workshop, another thing that I do at the end is I do this planning process where you acknowledge anything that you got done, because you have to consciously pat yourself on the back so that you're progressing and growing. And I didn't know what I was going to do next, so I wasn't progressing or growing. So again, do the goal setting. Even if you don't do my boot camp, go on Rod's links and do the goal setting workshop and have your spouse do it, your kids do it. And again, the planning is at the end. This planning process is very powerful. It's how I manage 2 very large companies at the same time. So it's very powerful. But anyway, but the big thing that was happening was I was totally focused on Rod. Okay, Rod. Show the world I'm good enough. Show the world I matter. And that's the year I met Tony Robbins, actually. This was 22 years ago. And I went to one of his, I bought some books, and one of them was his book, one of his books. And I'm like, man, this is good. So I went and saw him live. And I saw that he fed families for the holidays. And I'm like, what a concept. Do something for someone else. I'm embarrassed to say I had to be 40 to get that memo. But I came back home, and I was living here in Florida already. I called my brother in Denver because I was going to go visit him for Thanksgiving. And I said, bro, let's feed 5 families. And so he called his church, and he found 5 families that really needed help. And we had a blast buying the food and frozen turkeys and roasting pans if they didn't have that. We bought toys for the kids. And the third family changed my life. We go up to this house, and it was a row house where they're like 4-plex, but they weren't even 1 bedrooms. They were crappy 1 bedrooms because you had to walk through you walk into the living room, through the bedroom to get to the kitchen, which has the bathroom off it. So it didn't even have a hallway. It was just like you walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen. And there was a woman in there with 5 kids, a Hispanic woman. And she comes out and she sees all this stuff on the porch, and she starts crying. And her kids come out, and a couple of the older ones started crying. And then Rod started crying. And I'm blessed to say in the last 22 years, we've fed about 130,000 plus kids here in Sarasota and Bradenton, Florida. And I'm not telling you this to brag. There's a message in this, a big, important message for you guys. You know, we've done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies. We just did 1,500 backpacks in August this year, a couple of months ago. We've done tens of thousands of teddy bears to our local police departments for officers to keep in their vehicle. If they encounter a child that's been in a traumatic event, they can comfort the child. And the reason I bring this up, guys, is if you aren't giving back in some fashion, I know we got some young ones on this show, and you got that blood dripping from your teeth. Nick, you want this so freaking bad. And I see Jerry Miles, I see a couple of you young ones there. And I know you want this. Maybe you want that Lamborghini or that Ferrari or all that stuff. But I'm here to tell you, you need to give back. And here's why. We've been taught, as you know, especially and this is more ingrained in men than women, but even in women, that we have to achieve to be happy. Like we can't be happy until we've achieved. And if you give back in any fashion, you're happily achieving. And I know it's a play on words. Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. And achievement's a science. You want to learn multifamily, come to my freaking boot camp. You'll be drinking through a fire hose, but I promise you, you'll get value. In fact, if you come and you don't absolutely freaking love the event, I don't mean like it, I mean love it. Let me know. I'll give you your $97 back. It never happened, but there's a first time for everything. But anyway, we've been taught to achieve to be happy. You be happily achieving. And like I said, the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. The achievement is a science. You want to learn something, just go learn it. You come to my boot camp and then you take massive freaking action. Achievement and success is inevitable, but fulfillment is an art. You have to find what juices you, okay? And for me, it's kids. Maybe for you, it's animals. Maybe for you, it's the environment. Maybe for you, it's the elderly. Whatever it is, give back right freaking now. And even you kids, okay? Don't say, I'll do it when I have the money. No, do it right now. Why? Because the money will come faster. Trust me. Now, you don't do it for that reason, but give back. And if you don't have any money, give of your time, okay? Just do something to give back. Trust me on this. And by the way, I'm going to put a little plug for my foundation. It's called the Tiny Hands Foundation, tinyhandsfoundation.org. If somebody will throw that in the chat for me, tinyhandsfoundation.org. I pay for all the operating expenses and then some, a whole lot. I pay thousands every year, and every dime goes to the food or the backpacks or the teddy bears. So if you feel so inclined, send a couple bucks to Tiny Hands. We just lost our biggest donor because he does a bike ride. It's my buddy, Kevin Bupp. Some of you may know Kevin Bupp. He teaches people how to buy mobile home parks. And he does a bike ride every year from Fort Myers to Key West. Well, you know what happened in Fort Myers. So there's no bike ride this year. And he's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for my foundation. So I'd appreciate anything, if you send, even if it's just 20 bucks, I'd be grateful. But anyway, that's all I got, Alex, but I'm happy to answer questions. We can talk a little bit more about what's happening economically or whatever you guys want, or you can just tell me to get out of here, whatever you like.
Man, thank you for being so prepared. Definitely looks like you've done it a couple times. So I want to speak first before everybody asks questions. You can raise your hand and we'll call on you. But I've been to the virtual boot camp and I've been to the live, and I'm a warrior. And I'm going to say that and I've been to a lot of conferences. This is not one of those like hype hoorah conferences. There is definitely aspects of personal development and transformational work in this, in Rod's
Here's
program.
the manual. There's a manual.
There's
okay?
a manual.
It's not fluffy. Okay. It's every aspect of the business.
Yeah. And it's
and
awesome.
We have a lot of fun. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. So also, we're gonna put everybody that's in here has registered for the for this webinar. So I'm gonna be sending Rod's information. So if you're missing it on here, you're gonna get the links to everything, his podcast, everything's gonna be in the follow-up email, including the replay of this call. So
it's all in Rod's links, by the way. Sorry to interrupt, Alex. It's all all my social media is there. And if you've ever got a question and Alex isn't available, you hit me up on any social media, you will get an answer from me. I'm incredibly responsive.
That's true.
So, okay. Yeah.
Yes, that's totally true. Rod didn't even know me, and I got a phone call from him. I was like, oh my God. So anyways, he's definitely very generous with his time. Jarrell, you want to ask a question? Go for it, buddy.
I do. Hey, Rod, it's the other Razul.
Hey, buddy. Yeah. That's funny. You're the one I went up to in the conference?
Yep.
Oh, that's funny. God, that's funny. Did you ever tell Razul that story?
Yeah, we did. We actually connected.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, together. Basically twins, Rod. I don't blame you.
I thought it was him. I thought it was. Never mind. Just please ask your question. Sorry.
I wanted to ask a question just about the economy and where you. I haven't listened to the podcast you put out today yet. I've been listening to all the other ones.
So YouTube. It's not a podcast. YouTube.
YouTube. I'm sorry.
No. Sorry.
Where do you see exactly the economy going as far as multifamily, and how will we be affected while we're searching for deals and searching for money?
Good question. Well, I will tell you. Let me just say this. I'm much more bearish than a lot of people in my industry. Okay. There are great deals out there right now, and people are like, "Oh, should I wait to buy?" No, I've got a deal in Nashville right now, screaming deal that we're just finishing up the raise on. But do I think more deals are coming? Absolutely, and for a lot of reasons. But economically, like on a macro level, I was in Europe for 3 weeks. Their energy prices in some places has gone up like 1,000%. Okay. In most places it's doubled. And with this, with that sabotage on that pipeline, I think it's going to get really ugly this year. So Europe's in big trouble. China's in big trouble. Okay. Lots of problems happening there. So it's a global thing. The United States, we've printed trillions of dollars. Okay. And that's what's caused this inflation. We've got the highest inflation in 50 years. We've got the highest gas ever. And then they do like $500 trillion for the student loan thing. I mean, what are they thinking? You keep printing more money, it makes it worse. And they think that raising the interest rates are going to be the be all and end all, and it's not. But I'm going to tell you, I told you there are 20 million families behind on the utilities bills right now. Let me quote people much smarter than me. Elon Musk said they're lying to you. It's going to be a much bigger crash. That's a quote. Okay. Trump, love him or hate him, he said it could be as bad as the Great Depression. Okay. Warren Buffett preparing for a downturn. Of course, Kiyosaki, he's been talking about it for 10 years. Eventually he's going to be right. But I mean, he sees the writing on the wall. And so guys, I think it's going to be ugly, but it's not a time to be scared. It's a time to get excited because, again, with crisis comes incredible opportunity. It could be the greatest transfer of wealth we ever see in our lifetimes. And so, I'm in a lot of cash right now by design. But here's the thing, even if you don't have, and here's the thing, let me give you some tips. Okay. This is what a YouTube video I just did about getting ready for this. Conserve cash right now. Don't be frivolous with your spending. Save as much cash as you can. That's number one. Number two is, remember this, multifamily takes money, but it doesn't have to be your own money. There's still a lot of money. It's people getting crushed in the stock market. We won't even talk about crypto. I've seen literally crypto millionaires sobbing on social media that they lost everything, So there's a lot of money looking for a home. So there's going to be incredible opportunity if you're up to speed. Okay. Now, if you're trying to learn this business in a year, it's going to be too late because you're going to get caught up in the fear. And this business is a relationship business. You need to build the relationships. You have to be knowledgeable in how to underwrite deals and all of that. So again, I don't care whether you learn from me, but keep doing this Zoom call with Alex and his team. If you can come to my boot camp, keep learning this business because, it takes a few times to get it. Repetition is the mother of skill. And even if you just went to Brad's event or something like that, I promise you're going to get a ton of new distinctions coming to my event. I promise you. And so, but get up to speed. And if you decide it's not going to be multifamily, fine, but pick your vehicle right now. If it's going to be single family, fine. If it's going to be buying businesses, fine. There'll be opportunity there. If it's trading, but become as knowledgeable as you possibly can, as fast as you possibly can. Conserve cash, start talking to people, the people and say, hey, I think there's going to be some incredible opportunity in real estate. So, if you know anybody that might be interested in partnering with me, I'm always looking for partners, and just have that elevator pitch down. And frankly, I tell my warriors, if they hold still long enough, they better know what it is you do. Right. And I'm telling you the same thing. So, but get up to speed as fast as you can. And listen, a lot of people, my partner included, thinks that the interest rates are going to come down early next year and everything will be fine. I don't. I think it's going to be ugly for a while. And again, not in a fearful. Sometimes I'll get caught in the fear because, again, I lost everything and I'm dragging around that big bag of memories. But I will tell you, I do think it's going to be ugly. And let me just say something else. A lot of deals were done these last couple of years with bridge debt. And if you don't know what bridge debt is like the hard money lender equivalent of in the single family space, like hard money in the single family space. Bridge debt is the commercial multifamily version of that. Okay. And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac dropped their loan to value because they see the writing on the wall. Like this deal we just did in Nashville is 60% loan to value, 10-year fixed debt. I mean, super safe deal, super conservative. But a lot of people these last couple of years were able to get 75, 80% loan to value debt through bridge lenders. But here's the problem. Bridge debt is short term, okay? Typically 3 years. Sometimes you can do 3-1-1 where you have 5 years. But they sometimes they even did this bridge debt without rate caps, and bridge debt is adjustable rate. Even if you have a rate cap and it's say a 2% cap, let me tell you something. When you've got a multi-million-dollar deal and your interest rate goes up 2%, it is a big freaking deal. Okay. We've got one person, I can't tell you what city in Texas. We're looking at a deal right now in Texas. My team is going through it on our pipeline tomorrow. The guy's interest payment went from $8,000 a month to $80,000 a month. Okay. This is one example. This just came out of the woodwork. Okay. There is going to be a reckoning in the bridge debt space, guys. And so there's going to be deals there, even if it's just a mild recession. There's going to be some real problems with bridge debt. So there's going to be deals there. And so again, get up to speed as fast as you can, wallow in this stuff, immerse yourself in it, meet as many people as you can, network as much as you can. You're in this business, especially your network is your net worth. Okay. Meet as many people as you can. And what's the skill in networking? Be incredibly curious about the person you're talking to. Go to an event. Don't focus on meeting 10 people. Focus on getting to know one or two really well. Okay. That's a secret for networking. Okay. And if you're introverted or afraid of, a rejection, like I used to be terrified. I used to have a card of questions in my pocket that I would ask, just so that I wouldn't forget and I wouldn't fumble. And I would have 5 seconds of courage. I'd walk up to somebody and say, "Hi, I'm Rod. I don't think we've met." And then I'd go into my questions. Okay. So anyway, long answer to your question, my friend, Gerald, but I'm happy to take more if you like. I'm good.
Yeah, Martin, go for it.
Rod, great to see you here.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. I was at your conference in Denver, so joined the Warrior program and been looking at deals. Now I live in California, and I've been underwriting, for the last few months, and cap rates are still so low out here, and even in the surrounding states. I've lived in Nevada and a little bit in Oregon and stuff like that. So it just seems like this area is probably, I cannot make anything cash flow. And I was just wondering what your thoughts on pivoting maybe to a wholesaling strategy.
Have you heard me talk about California?
Yes.
Okay. I don't invest in blue states, and it's not a political statement. I don't care what side of the fence you're on, but I go for low-hanging fruit. That's the term I want you to remember, low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit means a business environment where people actually, welcome business, no rent controls. And you've got fantastic markets near you, buddy. You got Texas, you've got Albuquerque, you've got, Phoenix. I mean, yeah, they're hot, but they're still, you get to pick one and go after it. And there are going to be deals. I'm just here to tell you, Martin, in the next year, maybe 2 years, finding the deals isn't going to be the issue. It's going to be finding the money. It's going to be the whole capital stack, though. It's not just the equity. The debt's going to be an issue as well. So it's lining all that out, building relationships, talking to people, and letting them know what you're doing. But I would encourage you to pick a market outside of California, brother. And again, it's not a political thing. It's just, I want to go where business is easier and less friction. And so, you've got some, Texas is extraordinary. And here's the thing though, if you live in California, don't go to Boston and invest. If you live in, on the East Coast, don't go to the West Coast, invest. There's plenty of low hanging fruit on your half of the country. But you've got some really hot markets. Alex is in Vegas. I think Vegas is going to do well here. I actually think areas that have hospitality are going to do okay through this, because there's been such a, people have been cooped up with COVID. And so I don't think they're going to spend money on things, but I think they're going to spend money on experiences. And so I think Vegas is going to do just fine through this. So, Martin, as far as wholesaling, wholesaling is great. And, we've got, I checked this about a year ago, and I've got over a dozen students that made over 100,000 wholesaling one deal, a dozen Warriors, and 2 of them made over $1 million. And I'm sure it's double that now. So wholesaling is great, but you got to find the buyers. Okay. And so, it's going to be a liquidity thing. So you're going to have to find people that have a lot of reserves and have the ability to take down these deals. So, it's certainly an option. But I would, if it were me, I'd be focusing on building relationships to raise money. Okay. Again, I'm doing a course on this because I know it's going to be so freaking important. So I'm doing it right now. I just finished my course on crushing it in social media, and I'm going to tie that into raising money. And I think I'll really have something to help the Warriors with that stuff. So.
Sweet.
Yeah, I want to add to that a little bit too, Rod, because we just started focusing on our social media. And I know a lot of you guys have seen my Instagram and stuff just in the last 2 months. Just look at the last 2 months. From that, we went from 600 followers to 6,000. I don't know how, 6,000, 5,000, but that equated to almost $1.2 million in capital raise. And the other thing is, it's not just about getting that, it's about having a funnel to be able to get it into a system for yourself. And the most important thing is having the one-on-one connections that Rod was talking about, like the relationship to be built. And I was sharing this earlier, is I do 11 one-on-one calls a day, because I know this is going to get me to my goals. That's 2,400, 2,500. Yeah, 2,500 calls a year. Where is that going to get me? Already, it's gotten me new partnerships. It's gotten me new opportunities. It's made this group grow. It's got Rod on this call for everybody, so this is.
Well,
it's
I've
super
noticed
important.
your peeps are putting their calendar links in here. Very impressive. So they're listening to
go.
what you're saying, man. So they're listening to what you're saying. So my hat's off to you, because that is the secret to this business. I tell my warriors, okay, my warriors are somewhere around 100,000 units that they own. And I've only been teaching 5 years. I'm super proud of that. Besides my kids, I don't think I'm proud of anything more than that. But here's the thing. Almost all of those units were done between warriors. Okay. And we discovered this like 2 or 3 years ago. And so, I tell my warriors when I talk to them, I say, do everything you can to get as connected as you can inside the group, because that is the secret to success. It just is. It was a shock when we discovered it. And so we do everything we can to facilitate that. Like we've got a warrior only event coming up the end of this month here in Sarasota. We do those, and we do, breakouts where we do, blind networking for our warriors as well. But you guys can do it inside of here. Okay. But connect like crazy. And I see you're already doing that. So, I'm seeing all these calendar links. So that's really cool. I've never seen that before on a Zoom call.
Great job, everybody. Way to make Rod proud.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
stuff.
Jerry. Well, we're going to take, oh man. All right. So this is it. Jasmine will be the last to ask the question after this 7. So, we can respect everybody's time on this. All right, go ahead, Jerry.
I'll be quick. I appreciate your time, pouring into everybody here. And, the first guy kind of answered the question. I was going to ask if you were buying, in today's market,
Yeah, no, I get that question all the time. Should you wait to buy? And listen, if the numbers make sense, buy now. But see, that's the thing. If nothing else, be looking at everything you could possibly be looking at, because how are you going to get better, right? Repetition is the mother of skill. So there are deals. And the last 1 year, I've only bought one deal other than this one. Okay. This one we have under contract right now. So it's opening up already. So don't wait. But do all the things I said, getting cash, be frugal, build relationships, tell people what you're doing so that, you can go back to them and say, hey, and I hate this expression, when the blood's running in the streets, that's when we're going to buy. So don't be afraid. Cause if once you've started that conversation and say, they say, I'm interested, say, okay, well, know this, we're definitely going to be hitting it when things look really ugly. And when the news is saying it's going to be horrible forever, you have to be able to ignore that. So, and I teach this at the boot camp, pre-framing your investors so that, they're not fearful when it happens. Okay. Because that's when the real money is made. Okay. When it's really ugly. But again, we're finding deals now. So don't wait, I guess is my point. Was that your question, Jerry? I kind of jumped the gun there.
Yeah, you got it. I was going to ask if you were buying. And
yeah, absolutely. We closed on Thursday. We still need to raise about 4 million for that Nashville deal, but it's absolutely buying right now for sure.
Awesome. Barbara, go for it.
The link is Rod's Links, David. Go to rodslinks.com and it's at the top. And it includes the recordings and everything. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. So German lady from Atlanta, so appreciate it, like immigrant story here as well. My question was, what were your 3 tips for fundraising? So part is like, if you're already very well connected, but how to really accelerate fundraising.
So okay. Are you saying you are already well connected?
I'm very well
because there's, if somebody that's just getting started, they may not be well connected. And I will say, let me speak to that first. Guys, you live in the greatest time on earth to create reach, okay? And you don't need 14 million downloads or, I've got the biggest Facebook group for multifamily with almost 47,000 people. And you don't need any of that. You need a few hundred people. But here's the key. If you want, if you're not, you want to start building that reach, you can do a meetup. I've got a lot of students doing meetups, and I'm actually going to do one in Tampa. I decided I'm going to do one just to really hone it in well so I can teach my students. So I'm starting one. Talk to my team about it today. But social media is incredible. my TikTok even, guys. I used to think TikTok was for kids, and I get sucked into that damn thing for hours on end now. But I just but here's the key. Here's the key to creating reach. You have to be consistent and you have to add value. If you put out crap, you are crap, basically. Whatever you put out, you are. So bring it, create value and be consistent. And even if you only have a few hundred people that believe in you and care about you, like Alex has created here, it's so easy to raise money because they know who you are. They know what you're about. And so if you've already got reach, then I will tell you, Alex alluded to it. It's the one-on-one, Barbara. It's the going out and really connecting with people and spending some real time with them. And again, adding value. You've got to add value. So, I'm always trying to think about what we can do to add value. But those one-on-one connections are really where it's at, because a lot of people will need to be influenced through this, because again, the fear is bad now, but it's really going to be bad after the midterms. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think the news is going to be really ugly after the election. So and perception is reality for people. So they get sucked into that stupid stuff and they think that the world is falling. I remember in 2008 and 2009, they said real estate's going to be bad for 10 years. The multifamily rents exceeded pre-crash levels in less than 3 years. So, but that's my suggestion to you, Barbara.
Yeah. Also, I put a video out today that I saw somebody make, and you can't be focused on the money or the sale or anything like that right off the bat. I have
friendship. That's it.
The relationship. I've had some people, set up one-on-one calls with me and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing good." Before I even finish, they're trying to pitch me a deal, and that's just not going to be that's almost reverse of what you're doing. So, really focus on the relationship, like getting to know this person. And that's really important. And authentic
bonding. Yeah, I teach this if you're dealing with elderly sellers, seller bonding is huge, but the same thing applies to investors, guys. People want to do business with people they like. And so if you're not good at influencer sales, get some of Grant Cardone's books. Okay. This is a skill you need to have. You need to know how to influence. Okay. So learn that skill as well. Super important. You think, oh, I don't like salespeople and stuff, but we're selling every day. We're selling our spouses, and it's really influence sales, same thing, but every day our kids, we're influencing. But you need to become really good at it, because I'm going to tell you, if you become good at influence and sales, there's nothing you can't do. Literally nothing you can't do, regardless of the business you're in. Okay.
Awesome. Go ahead, Mark. So we're going to go Mark, Vinny, Matthew, and Elena.
Awesome. Hey, Rod, thanks so much for everything that you put out there today. I've already signed up for your class for the boot camp. Looking forward to that. Alex, he's my personal mentor. It's always great to be within his space, man. He's got it going on. Total value, man. Question for you would be, like, what kind of advice would you have for in the far out, not too far future, but maybe 6, 8, 10 months from now, when it comes to, creating the raise of money? I know it's about but how would you suggest kind of working with people's mindsets going into that space when there's so much doom and gloom around them, perhaps if they were in that space?
Yeah, well, you need to pre-frame them to that. So I'm going to spend some time on that this weekend. And one of the other things I do, by the way, for those of you that really don't like the thought of going and talking to people, is you will get an example of a sample deal package. It'll be that Tennessee deal, but it'll be our deck, and you can print it or you can emulate it, whatever. And then when you go to somebody, you can say, hey, by the way, this is the kind of stuff we look for. Hand it to them and say, if we find something like this, should we talk? Would you be interested in talking? And that just makes it easier to have that communication. But here's the, Mark, and answer your question, it's kind of the same answer that I gave Barbara. It's just building relationships and nurturing those relationships and pre-framing them to not be fearful. Okay. Helping them stay focused on outcomes and not fear, and not get sucked into that fear. And so, it'll be a little bit of rah-rah stuff in a way, honestly. I hadn't even thought about that, but that's really it, because, I'm trying to help you guys stay focused on what you want, not get sucked into that stuff, but you'll have to do the same thing for your investors. So, I think the better you are at that, and it'll be through personal one-on-one relationships with these people and getting to know them. And I mean, really, digging deep, it's worth it. Like I said, when you're networking, don't try to meet everybody in the room. Try to really get to know a couple of people in the room, and it's a win every time. So, and then of course, get everyone else's cards and follow up afterwards, and then get to really know them. But focus, I love the quote, the best networkers are deeply curious in the person they're communicating with. And if you can do that, You're not looking over their shoulder to try to find the next person. That's when you build those. And I'm going to tell you something. Introverts are better at this than extroverts. Introverts are much better, okay, at this networking game if they can push themselves to do it, because they do hone in and take a much more honed in communication with someone than someone like myself that's all over the freaking place. So I don't know if that helped, Mark, but that's what I got.
It's all good. Thanks so much.
Real quick, I just noticed the time, Rod, and I know we just.
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. Go. I'll take. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm enjoying this.
Cool. All right.
Well, if you're how to win friends and influence people. You need to read that book, because if someone's doing all the talking, they love it. Okay. That's why I love it. Right. Because I'm doing all the freaking talking. But when you take a genuine interest in someone, which is what that Dale Carnegie's book is all about, you should all read that book. If there were ever a time to reassociate, in fact, I'm going to go get it myself and read it again. If there were ever a time to reassociate with that book, it's right now. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Okay. Go ahead.
All right, Vineet.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, I got to say I really enjoyed today's session. We just met, this last week, Alex and myself. Last weekend we met. We connected right after that, and he sent me email. I joined it. Actually, I joined the 6:30 session with the teens, and I was thinking my nephew, who's in his late 20s, could actually get insight from this and can apply to his life. Like he calls it teens, but you know what, I was making notes, I was learning from it. So good job there. I really enjoyed that session. Rod, I've got a question for you. Okay. Essentially, with the rates, the way Fed is increasing the rates, essentially they're right after inflation, but this is going to impact the demand. It's going to
lower the prices. It's going to lower the prices too, just so you know.
Right. So what I wanted to get your view on is, like, if you see diversified economic bases, what is the
what do you mean? I'm sorry, what do you mean by diversified economic basis?
So let's say if you're looking at an MSA and that has a diversified economic base, with the rate at which Fed is increasing rates, we are expecting unemployment to increase, but we target like red states, diversified economic bases. We are doing, our rent projections, 2, 3, like very moderate rent projections. But I want to understand from your perspective at a macro level, what do you see for rent projections in, business friendly states, job friendly states with high growth population, high job growth?
I don't think the states matter for that, Vineet. I don't think the states matter for rent growth, and I would not be super aggressive right now. I think rents could possibly even flatline, Vineet, especially depending on how ugly it gets. So if you're buying an asset and you can't sustain it without rent growth, I would be very, very careful. I mean, I mean, forget returns, but if you can't sustain it without rent growth, I'd be very, very careful right now, because I think rents are going to be impacted. And we could talk about asset classes as well. I would not do a C- asset right now. No way, no how, because those people are getting killed. I mean, for me, I don't even notice the gas of the food so much. Sometimes if I look at a price, I'll notice it. I mean, that's not ego, but that's just, where I'm at in life. But there are a lot of people that literally cannot afford to pay anything. Again, there are 20 million families behind on utility bills. But think about that, 20 million families, not individuals, behind on utility bills. So, I would be very careful about, I've seen rent growth, Cardone puts 10% a year on his. That's how he sold his deals. I don't see it. I don't think that's going to happen. I love him. He's smarter than I am, and he's got a jet and a helicopter, but I don't see that rent growth. I think, if I were you, I wouldn't do more than 3% right now. I don't care where you are, frankly. And I know it's been 20% and 30% and all that up to this point. Well, that has just ground to a halt. Okay. And so, yes, there's still a big demand for housing, and that's going to be the antithesis of this and the opposite of this. But there will come a point where people cannot afford much beyond a certain point. Okay. And I'm only going to be buying, if I buy a C asset, it's an asset that's in a B area that I can raise up to a B asset. That's all I will be buying if I go into a C class. This Nashville asset I was talking about is a B asset, and we're going to turn it into an A asset. But So Ergun, you're saying 20 million people are always late on their utilities. Okay, well, I didn't know that, but it was very sobering to me. Well, I can tell you this, my foreclosure business, I sold it to somebody and I had lunch with him last week and he said, it is a freaking, the foreclosures are like, sorry about this analogy, like a rat going through a snake right now. Okay. He said they are so overwhelmed with foreclosures. There's going to be a foreclosure tsunami. So maybe the utility bills isn't a big thing, but I know there are a ton of foreclosures coming as well. And so, if you watch my YouTube thing I just did, Facebook is dropping 10% of their operating expenses. In other words, they're laying off 10% of their people because their operating expenses are payroll. Snap is laying off 20%. Google, Microsoft, they're all laying off. They've all been hiring freezes. The tech recruiters have no business because nobody is hiring. And tech, those are the biggest companies on the planet. Okay. So, that's a clue, guys. So again, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to get you excited. Okay. Get excited because everything's going on sale. And if you get up to speed, you'll be able to you could set yourself up and your family and your kids and their kids and their kids and their kids for a life with what's coming. Okay. Vineet, I don't know if that's what you wanted to hear. Probably not, but and again, I'm more bearish. I had my boot camp, I had my mastermind about 3 months ago, and I was the most negative one there. So, I could be wrong, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think this one's going to be uglier than people think. So anyway.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rod.
You're welcome, my friend.
Matthew, what's up, brother? Go for it.
What's up?
You, buddy.
Thank you, Rod. Thanks,
My
Rod,
pleasure.
for coming on.
Yeah.
So I had a question, kind of more of a not talking about the doom of the economy or anything, but kind of just about giving value and stuff. So I'm kind of working on a pressure washing business right now, something small just to make extra cash on the side.
Nice.
And a while back I read The Go-Giver, and that taught me a ton about giving value and not expecting more in return than you think. And
Matthew, I have to stop you. I am so freaking impressed with you, brother. I have to tell you, at your age, that we're having this conversation is beyond impressive to me. So I just want to salute you for a minute. Okay, please continue.
Thank you. So yeah, I ended up reading the book and I really it shifted my mindset from I need to be making money to I need to be providing value and expecting to give more value than I receive. And at some point, the cycle will continue, and
it comes back to you times 1,000, my friend. Okay. I've seen videos where guys that do pressure cleaning will go and see a really bad driveway and they'll video doing it for that person for nothing. I promise you their phone gets busy after they do that. Okay. And I want to mention something. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know you've got a question, but I want to mention something so I don't forget. So we did a Hall of Fame in Denver for my Warriors, the exemplary Warriors. We picked the 10 that really we felt had done something. And we did a little PowerPoint clip, just one slide for each one of them when we gave them a cool award and they came up and there was a Hall of Fame. And I saw a pattern. Every single one of them does something charitable, building schools in India, raising 200, 300,000 for the military. Every single one of them had a charitable initiative that they did. I'm like, holy crap, look at that. My top 10 people, and they're all big into charity. So anyway, Matthew, please feel free to continue.
Yeah. That's really good. One of the main goals is for building wealth, whether it be through business or real estate, is to be giving in charity and stuff. But about the value, so I read this book and adapted this mindset, and I've always wanted to give value. But one of the things, especially with kind of like pressure washing business and stuff, is I came in with 2 other guys who wanted to do it with me, and they don't have quite the same mindset, and it's hard to for example, I just came back from the gym and we're planning on setting up a job for them, and the guy said our price was too high. And originally, before we sent out the quote, I talked to my buddy and I was like, hey, I think we're kind of getting started with them. We haven't really shown them our skill or what we can do for them, and I feel like we shouldn't charge as much. And
Agreed.
my buddy was just like, no, we want to be able to make money. And, you know, especially after this call, you said building connection is important. If we don't have that connection with, you know, the people that work for the gym, we're not going to get any more jobs with them. So I guess my question is, how do I kind of
Now I know what you're trying to say, and you may have, you know, you may honestly need to go do this on your own, my friend. Okay, because if your values aren't aligned with the people on that you're doing business with, that's a real problem. Okay, and so if you know, and I can see your heart, man, and that's why I wanted to salute you. And so, you know, if your values aren't aligned with them, and that's a big mistake. You guys should have done that job for peanuts if you had to get in with a commercial owner who's going to talk about you and get you more business. And you know, you got to have revenue. So you know, you know, you may just need to go do this on your own. And I will tell you, you know, I've been in many partnerships, and some make it, some don't. And I even have a resource for you guys. I think it's in Rod's links. If it's not there, if you come to boot camp, you'll get it as well. It's just a list of questions you should ask a partner before you get into a partnership. You know, I know that's not what you wanted to hear, Matthew, but it doesn't sound like you're aligned, buddy. I mean, you could try to influence them, but if they're completely financially driven, I will tell you, I've met people, you know, gazillionaires, okay, that have been on my show, and they're real smooth and slick, but I can tell if they're like I was before I had my epiphany when I went and saw Tony and gave back when I was 40. And I feel sad for them because they're successful, but they're unfulfilled. They're not really truly happy. And so I would encourage you to follow what you're doing and possibly consider doing it on your own, my friend. And a pressure washer is not that freaking expensive where you can't, well, maybe a truck mounted one is, but you know, I would encourage you to try to do it on your own, my friend. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. Like you said, it's not what I wanted to hear, but I definitely needed to hear it. So,
okay. All right. That's my 2 cents.
Thank
buddy.
you.
My pleasure.
Go ahead, Elena. Or Elena?
Elena, where are you? Did she leave? She's
well,
like, screw this. I'm tired of. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Well, I don't know. It says event mobile spa, Elena. You can ask your question, brother. There you go.
Alex, so this is Wednesday. Not Elena. It's just that my wife uses this thing also for her for her business, for our business, because I work with her trying to help bring it up. So every time you can keep saying it, Elena is gonna be next. I said, that's an Elena. I guess they're not gonna call me.
Well, what's your name?
I need to check and make sure that I change that when I sign in. So
what is your name? What's your name?
My name is Wenceslao, and so I go by W.
W. That's right. W.
Yeah. So it makes it easier. So anyways, Rod, listen, first time I hear you, I've never even heard of you, to be honest with you, which is on me. I'm looking around in the space and trying to learn a lot in the space. I'm new to the space, but I'm totally impressed with everything that you're doing. Your energy is unbelievable. Thank you, so I want to have what you're having. I don't know what you drink in the morning or afternoon. I don't know if you do the Cuban coffee thing in Sarasota, but I got to tell you, I got to have some of that. I really have a question regarding your investment mindset, your criteria. So I want to understand a little bit about your criteria, not only in general, but what it has been and have you adjusted any of it, and are you looking for different?
That's a big question. That is a big question. I'll try to summarize it as best I can. So my criteria is the southern half of the United States, except California. Sorry, whoever it was, Martin. Sorry, buddy. But the whole southern half of the United States. Now the focus is the Sun Belt states. But I have gone north. I've gone to Ohio. Got assets in Ohio, and I've got some assets in the Midwest. But the bulk of our assets are Texas, Georgia, Florida, Carolinas. Yeah, that's it. And so I'm looking at a map over here, but so my criteria right now for my team is 100 plus units, B and C assets in A and B areas, A asset if we can swing it, if there's still meat on the bone, and I look for a minimum of a 10% cash on cash return. And the ability to reposition and not and in a growing, very strong job market. So one of the things that the biggest things we look at, I would encourage you guys actually to watch a presentation that we did, not to try to raise money from you, but just to see what we look for in a market and in a sub-market. And it might be on Rod's links. Is the Avalon presentation on Rod's links? If it's not, I can send you somewhere else, but you should watch that because I try to educate when I do that. And no, it's not. No, I'm looking, it's not on here. Okay. Well, anyway, if you go to CRE Capital, CREE Capital.com. Watch that webinar. I don't care if you're not accredited, even if you're not accredited, watch it because you'll see what we look for in a market, in a sub-market, the disparities that we want to see, disparities between median home price and what we're paying for the unit, disparity between median income and what the rents are. So again, CREEcapital.com, and just watch the webinar on Avalon, again, even if you're not accredited, because it'll be a great learning experience to what we look for in an asset, how we reposition it, the numbers we want to see, our super conservative nature, and that'll really help you, and that'll answer your question, brother. So I would encourage you.
I appreciate it. I definitely will look into that. I'm in Miami, as a matter of fact, and I go to Sarasota. It's one of my favorite hangouts. The beaches out there, I love it.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Nice,
so
nice.
I love the Gulf Coast, but now with everything that's happening, we're staying away.
Yeah, we got. Hey, I was in that hurricane. I got to tell you, it was serious, and I've got roof damage. We were tarping.
I was here for Andrew, so I get you.
Yeah.
And I got a brother in Tampa, and I was scared for him and my nephew.
Well, thank God it well, I mean, it's really horrible. There's 40 plus people died.
It didn't hit them, but it did hit Fort Myers
really,
really bad. I can't believe the before and after photos, but
anyways,
I really appreciate your response,
you,
very candid. I definitely will look at that because that's one of the things I think, of course, my backyard is huge. I have Miami, I have Fort Lauderdale, Broward County. I have Collier not too far. I have the North Keys area not far. There's so much material here. I really don't need to go looking anywhere else, but it is expensive in Miami. The prices are, they're starting to feel it, and I know they're going to buckle.
There's going to be opportunity, and they're big swings. They're big swings, surprisingly big swings in Florida and California as well when this stuff happens. And so, Martin, there may be opportunity, brother. So just keep an eye on values. There may be opportunity. But Rod, hey Rod, don't you think C and B class will be next home run for us versus A class? Well, yeah, I do actually. I'm looking at B and C class. But I don't want to be in the C minus, or definitely not the D. Okay, guys, D obviously is the hood. Trust me, you don't want that. Okay, I've had people killed in my places, around my places, behind my places. They cut a hole in the door to pass the crack through. You don't want that. Trust me. You don't need that brain damage. And that's the demographic that's really getting crushed right now. So just don't do it. All right. Question.
Go ahead, Ryan. So we're really gonna just stop at FOTI on the questions and give Rod some time to spend with his wife. We're holding him hostage long enough.
Thank you.
Hey Rod, Ryan here, not much. I'm in Florida too. I'm over in Jupiter.
Nice.
So great to see you. I saw that background. I was like, he's in Florida. I knew it.
Yeah.
But anyway, are you investing in mobile home parks yourself? Just curious.
My brother has a bunch. My best friend, Kevin Bupp. Do you know Kevin? If you're interested in mobile home parks, you need to listen to his podcast. If not,
I do know Ron. Lonnie Scruggs from back in the day.
Of course. Kevin, if you're interested in mobile home parks, you need to check out Kevin Bupp because he's got like 30 and he's one of my best friends, and like I say, he's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for my charity. Total integrity, and he has a podcast on mobile home parks. I love mobile home parks. Let me just say that. In fact, I was going to get into them, and I shifted into apartments instead. In fact, I had 8 virtual assistants mapping every mobile home park in the country for a whole year, and then I ended up not using it. But yeah, no, I love mobile home parks, and there are a lot of great things in mobile home parks. So yes, I know a lot about them. I just haven't personally invested in them. My brothers own probably a dozen. I own some now. So
cool.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking because there's a big tiny house craze too, and I'm wondering about like moving like tiny houses into mobile home parks. There's actually a place over by you that is really cool called Able Nook that builds a modular home. You should check it out. I'm curious to see what you think.
How do you spell that?
ABLENOOK. really cool.
I'll check it out. But the only thing about mobile home parks is I would not do less than 40 spaces because you can't have on-site management and afford it. So just don't do it. You do not want to be managing one yourself. That's my only 2 cents. Now you want to talk about a tough demographic. And that's the other thing with that demographic. That demographic's hurting right now too, Ryan. So just keep that in mind. Okay.
Yeah.
They can't afford the gas they're paying right now and the food that they're paying and all that. And it's, slated to get worse. So
yeah. I'm doing multifamily. We just bought we're getting into a storage unit right now, but thank you.
You bet.
Bye.
You bet, buddy.
All right, Donna, go for it.
Hey, Rod.
Hi,
First
Donna.
of all, thank you for all your information. The energy that you bring is fantastic.
Thank you.
My husband and I too lost a lot of money in 2008 and 9, not nearly as much as you, but I love that visual that you gave about carrying that fear bag on your back. I feel like we still have some of that.
Sure.
And
It's
so
inevitable.
yeah, so kind of a 2-part question. In terms of getting over that fear, like, how did you actually do it?
Come to my boot camp, please. Please come. Okay. Please come. Okay. Even if you just do the mindset exercises, the identity statement, some of those things, you need to get very clear on what you want in the direction you're headed. Okay. And that's the only way to push through that fear, Donna. Okay. And so I would highly encourage you to come because you'll get so much value from that stuff. If you know the real estate, fine, just tune me out for that. But the mindset stuff will really help you. And if not, then at least do my goal setting workshop. You and your husband sit down, do it separately, and then compare notes. See how aligned you are. See if you're headed the same direction. Super important as well. But that's the only way. Okay, that's how I recovered from losing $50 million, was reassociating with what I wanted and why I wanted it. Because it would have been real easy just to have a pity party and feel sorry for myself and let that $50 million seminar become my identity, and my story. And yeah, I use it to teach, but it's not my identity or my story. So I would encourage you to, I think I can influence you some if you give me a chance, Donna, seriously.
Yeah.
And I mean that from my heart. I'd offer, in fact, I wouldn't even charge you if you'll come. Okay. I'm very serious. Okay. Because I know I can help you. All right. Just DM me and I'll give you a ticket on me. Okay. Seriously.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Okay.
All right, Foti. Thanks, Donna.
Thank you.
Hey, Rod, Foti Karastamatis from, near Memphis, Tennessee.
Where in Tennessee? Where in Tennessee?
Near Memphis.
Oh, near Memphis. Oh.
Yeah, I know. You wish you had those 200 houses.
Okay, all right. You've heard my story. When I have my boot camp, I always say, "Is there anybody that's from Memphis?" And then if nobody raises their hand, then I trash. I tell people I lose 20 points off my IQ if I fly over Memphis airspace. I had a bad experience in Memphis. Anyway, sorry I interrupted.
No, hey,
okay.
Hey, everything you say, I totally get it, man. I'm with the National RIA over here, the Memphis Investors Group in Memphis, and I don't even invest in Memphis. So
yeah,
I invest in everything out of the city limits.
But there's fantastic stuff, in the middle of the state. I mean, Cookeville, Clarksville, I don't know all the cities there. There's fantastic markets there. So yeah,
I'm looking at Oak Ridge, Tennessee right now for some stuff there, but Clarksville, I looked at some units.
Oh, Clarksville, yeah.
They got.
What's your question, my friend?
Actually, not much of a question. Just want to say thank you. I listen to you every day in my truck. I got you on
thank
thumb
you,
drive, and
thank you.
It's nice because you break everything down. A lot of these people they talk about big chunks, but I just want to say I really appreciate.
I really appreciate that. It's funny.
Make it easy.
I appreciate you saying that. I interrupt people as I just interrupted you. And that's the only hate I get on my podcast. Stop interrupting, but I try to stop them and break down, if they talk about, an acronym that nobody's going to know unless I break it down. So I appreciate you acknowledging that because like I say, that's the only hate I get. I'm at a 4.5 star instead of 5 star. I hate that. I wanted to be 5 star, but I get these people that get irritated because I interrupt. Anyway, was that it or we have another one?
That's it. That looks like it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
So I got a question, Rod. So we'll finish off with. So how important is it for somebody? You can learn to a certain extent. Like you just keep learning and learning and learning. You can get paralyzed in that. How important is that first deal just to get into it so you can really experience it instead of just learning?
I just explained, man. I see it with warriors all the time. They get that first deal, and if they get that first deal, we give them this cool sword. It's a really cool sword. They become warriors of the sword. But I'll tell you,
I can't wait for mine.
It's the hardest. It's the hardest deal. It's the scariest. It's the most stressful. And then you're like, is that all there was? So massive freaking action, my friends. Okay, just go do it. Go make it happen. Go do it for your families. And I'll tell you, if I've had any influence and you're a warrior or you've gone to my boot camp, please give me the gift of letting me know when you get that first deal and let me know about it. DM me, email me. My greatest gift in life is I literally get love several times a day. I get emails, DMs, gifts, cards. It's my greatest gift in life next to my family. So
John Sidoti, my partner, and who gave me a shot in multifamily. Look, he's got a sword right back there. That's the sword.
Wait, there it is. There it is. Right behind him. Yeah,
right
there it is. Love it. Love it.
Thanks,
Love it.
Rod.
All right,
Thank
cool.
you.
So, Rod, thank you so much for being here, man. And you spent and all the extra time that you spent on here, super appreciated.
My pleasure, buddy. Thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun. Go to rodslinks.com, Matt, and you'll have all my social channels there. DM me anywhere there. If you can come to my boot camp, I promise you'll be glad. I promise you'll be glad you came. All right, my friends, be well. It's great to see everybody.
Have a good night.
Hope to see some of you this weekend. Take care, guys. Thanks, Alex, John, the rest of you guys. Take care. Bye now.
That was dope. So
unreal, Alex.
So only
Unreal,
for
man.
you guys that are here, I'm going to share a story. Hopefully Rod's not here anymore. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you for watching and recording all the way to now and being supportive and being here.